Key point 1. Realize how your attention and focus suffer today. We live in an era of screens that reflect our reality. The internet and devices take away live communication and make you less present. Because of this, you can't do your job effectively, enjoy time with family and friends, or even read a book. When you concentrate on an activity and are suddenly distracted by an email or a message, it takes you 23 minutes to return to the same level of focus. It's a little too much time for a world that's always moving, isn't it? We're too overwhelmed with information to stay focused. The solution lies on the surface. Turn off your phone, remove all possible distractions, and get on with the essential things. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. The problem of attention loss is much deeper and requires more detailed solutions. Johann Hari examines the loss of focus from different angles, involving specialists of various profiles: tech designers, scientists, researchers, activists, and others. He raises the crucial question of the environment's influence on a person's ability to keep focus and on the effectiveness of individual struggle. Can information hygiene rules protect you from losing attention? Is it all about gadgets and the internet, or are there deeper reasons for the global loss of focus? What are we risking as humanity if we don't start solving this problem? You will find answers to all these questions here. This summary makes you think about where the influence of each person on their attention ends and the impact of the environment begins. It will be an exciting and educational ride that will make you look at your life differently. Try to focus so as not to miss anything important. Key point 2. Slow your mind to get back into the flow. Your attention is much more than a set of mechanical reactions that external triggers can control. Undoubtedly, at least once in your life, you experienced a taste when a specific action fascinated you so much that time and space were left somewhere behind. Perhaps you were climbing mountains, painting a picture, or reading a book. You were experiencing a feeling of flow that resembled a hypnotic trance. This state is one of the highest forms of attention when you're so engrossed in an activity that you seem to drop out of reality. Most people believe that relaxation is the way to a flow state, but it requires concentration. 3 main components will allow you to feel the flow. 1. A formulated goal. You have to decide what exactly you want to do. For example, write a story, bake a cake, or learn to ride a bicycle. It should be one specific action for which you put aside all other tasks and aspirations. Flow and multitasking do not work together because you must use all your mental abilities to achieve the goal. 2. Your goal must be precious and meaningful to you. When you plan to write a book and consider this business pointless and inappropriate, you won't get what you want. Make sure you do what matters to you. Number 3. The chosen activity should be at the limit of your capabilities. You shouldn't find it easy, but at the same time, you shouldn't feel too anxious about not succeeding. If you aim to cook a dish, choose a more challenging recipe than the one you mastered last time. Having fulfilled these conditions, you can merge with your goal. Your ego and self-consciousness will fade into the background, and you can experience absolute oneness with the moment. The more you experience the flow state, the better you feel. The screens of mobile phones and other devices distance you from experiencing the flow. You're ripped out of meaningful monotasking by external stimuli like emails, advertisements, and phone reminders. As a result, you can't use the power of long-term focus and feel happy and fulfilled. Key point 3. The impressive harm of sleep deprivation. Today, people live by the rhythm of machines, not by the rhythm of the sun. You fall asleep under the blue light of the phone or TV, only to wake up to the loud sounds of the alarm clock and drink caffeine to regain your vigor. Sometimes you even have to take sleeping pills to fall asleep. Lack of regular rest destroys your focus. As a result, you cannot effectively work, study, or even spend time with your family. Sleep deprivation leads to rapid negative consequences. It only takes 18 hours without sleep for your reactions to be as scattered as if you drank 0.05% alcohol. Regardless of the reason for not getting enough sleep, it doesn't go away without a trace. Your body perceives a lack of rest as an emergency. As a result, your blood pressure rises and you consume more fast food and sugar to maintain the desired activity level. In addition, when you sleep, your brain forms connections that join the day's experiences with the previous background. Such associations are the source of creativity. Therefore, when you don't form them, you have fewer ideas for solving specific problematic issues. Not getting enough sleep also damages your memory. When you rest, your brain is cleaned and renewed. Sleep deprivation is a huge problem. According to the National Sleep Foundation, people today rest 20% less than they did 100 years ago. One of the causes of sleep loss is a person's connection with physical light. Our lives are filled with more artificial light than a century ago. Why isn't it managed globally if the sleep problem is so massive? The answer to this question is that society today lives by the values of consumer capitalism. Roughly speaking, your rest is not beneficial for the economy. When you sleep, you don't spend money, you don't shop, and you don't produce anything. Many companies would lose a lot of money if you slept an hour longer. The prosperity of the economic system depends on sleepless people. Considering all the risks that lack of sleep carries for adults and children, it sounds cruel and unfair. We live in a culture that is constantly amping us up with stress and stimulation. Johann Hari. Key point 4. Learn how technologies manipulate you. Technology steals your attention to make money off it. The more you look at the screens of your gadgets, the more ads you see, and therefore the more money the tech companies get. Thousands of tech designers are working to increase your engagement. They study human psychology and hook consumers to capture their focus. It is not to say that all these people and companies seek to harm others by constantly distracting them and lowering their concentration levels. The fact is that this is how their business model works, and they just want to make money, not realizing the harm to society. Any information you leave on the internet, search words in the feed, messages, images, all this is analyzed and studied in detail. Companies aim to create as accurate a profile of you as possible to predict your desires and offer you the products you want. If you type headache into your search bar, they will bombard you with advertisements for various headache remedies. Sometimes it looks like magic, but it's the painstaking work of people recording your every move. This information allows them to predict your desires and make you an offer even before you realize your need. It's not phones, computers, or the internet that pose a threat, but rather how the websites we access through them operate. The algorithm of any site or social network functions to attract your attention as much as possible. It always aims to do everything to keep you looking at the screen. There are other ways of using the sites and networks. For example, Facebook can inform you when your friends are nearby, encouraging you to spend time with them offline. But then you wouldn't spend so much time in front of a screen, costing them crazy losses. Unfortunately, the nature of the human psyche doesn't favor the formation of a positive news feed. The algorithm doesn't determine whether to show you bad or good material. It offers you something you look at longer. Due to the negative bias inherent in the human mind, you will spend much more time watching a video about a tragedy on the road than a video with cats or flowers. Ultimately, your feed is filled with sad and scary things, making you feel threatened. Focusing on the negative leads to stress and even more distraction. Key point 5. Individual changes versus environmental impact. One of the most critical questions is understanding how to regain your attention. Undoubtedly, the responsibility lies with each individual to some extent. You can control your screen time, organize your sleep patterns, and do yoga to reduce stress. You can change your habits. Here are some tips to help you decrease your dependence on technology. Use the 10-minute rule. When you feel the urge to scroll through your social media feed, give yourself a break between impulse and action. Plan your work and free time. Write a clear plan for what you will do for the next day or week. Change your notification settings. You won't get distracted while working or studying. Unsubscribe from unnecessary newsletters. And if possible, fix the working hours parameter in the email. Of course, these rules can help you get some of your attention back, but will they work in the long run? The fact is that a person depends on the environment in which they exist. If you live in a condition that seeks to put you on the hook of technology, then your struggle is unlikely to withstand such intense influence from the outside. Telling people that to solve a problem, they only have to think differently, but leaving them in the same situation doesn't work. The concept of cruel optimism means that when you face a massive problem like obesity or addiction, somebody from the screen optimistically says you can overcome it with some personal rules and regimen. The inhumanity of this idea is that the proposed solution will only work for some people. It sounds strange and contradictory when they tell you to eat right but continue to supply you with junk food. The same thing happens with technology addiction when your personal information hygiene can't handle an environment where companies develop more and more ways to steal your attention. It is not your fault that your focus is distracted. Yes, it is your responsibility, but only partially. You can't fix the solution based on individual decisions alone and shouldn't try to do it unaided. Did you know? YouTube accounts for over 25% of all global mobile traffic. Key point 6. Only a collective struggle will overcome the crisis of attention. Some problems are too significant and global to be tackled only on an individual level. There are many cases in history where something harmful to humanity but profitable for companies ended up. For example, lead as a paint ingredient in houses was banned after people discovered how dangerous it was to their brains. Or think about hairspray. It turned out that one of its elements destroyed the ozone layer necessary for protection against solar radiation. Eventually, the toxic component was banned. Today, people still paint their houses and use hairspray without elements that have seriously harmed society. Social media and sites can also modify their technologies to reduce their dangerous effect. Many businesses will face a crisis if we ban surveillance capitalism to protect people from invading their personal space. Of course, they will lose a lot of money, but they must find other ways to make a living. There are various alternatives to the capitalist approach. Subscription. In this case, Facebook and other similar companies will not work for advertisers, but take care of satisfying the needs of their consumers. If the community says they need more opportunities to focus, sites will adapt to that demand. Transferring social networks to state ownership, independent of the government. In this way, these medias would become an essential public service and therefore guided by proper motives, not harming society. Of course, these models are not perfect, but they could be the first step toward the necessary changes. Researchers should thoroughly explore and prove that new technologies are safe before offering them to humanity. The depth of the attention crisis is frightening and even shocking. One person is unlikely to cope with this growing problem. However, a social movement and a united fight for the ability to stay focused can lead to meaningful changes. In this way, people achieved the prohibition of the deadly lead in paint, and this case is exemplary in many ways. The danger continued to exist for decades after people first proved the damage, but only after the social movement of citizens did the situation begin to change. Key point 7. We need to change now to protect our children's futures. It's not just technologies that are driving the human attention crisis. They appeared when stress had already weakened the public's immune system. Today, your life is often unstable and restless. Balancing work and raising kids leaves you with no time to rest. You are in a state of danger when you worry about having enough money to last until your next paycheck. Stress makes you hypervigilant to protect yourself from a threat at the right time. In such conditions, you cannot be present here and now and focus on your studies or work. Hypervigilance steals your focus. Being attentive is heavily influenced by your surroundings. Researchers have found that children who have experienced trauma are more likely to have attention problems than those who grew up peacefully. An equally important factor of reduced attention is improper nutrition. Processed and unnatural foods sold in supermarkets harm your focus. Human brains can only develop and function properly if they get enough nutrients. Vitamins and supplements only partially fix the problem because fresh food is the best way to absorb useful elements. Our diet today isn't just lacking in nutrients, it's also overloaded with harmful dyes and chemicals. There's even a link between food and ADHD in kids. All these facts show that society needs to change its standard living system. Some companies offer 4-day work schedules to their employees because of the attention crunch. These experiments show that employees perform their jobs more efficiently and are generally calmer and happier. It may be cruel optimism since these decisions aren't available to the general public, but these are the first steps to transforming society. We have to worry about ourselves and our children's futures because we do not know where else the attention crisis can lead humanity. We must talk about these problems and work together to overcome them. If these issues seem impossible to you today, think about the long civil struggle for the rights of sexual minorities, which is still bearing fruit. The joint battle to return attention can be long but successful. Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced. Johann Hari. Conclusion. Your ability to focus and be present in the moment is a precious gift to be protected and cherished. 3 main forms of attention are declining today under the influence of external factors. 1. Focusing on immediate actions. This is when you feel an impulse to do something. For example, drink water, read books, or walk. At this moment, a specific action is in the center of your attention and involves narrowing the focus. 2. Focus on long-term goals. These are larger-scale desires for needs that you can satisfy over time. For example, you dream of traveling worldwide, starting a family, or creating a business. This form of attention, like stars, illuminates the chosen direction of the movement. 3. Awareness of your long-term goals. Through this form of attention, you understand who you are, what you want, and where you're going. It prevents you from getting lost in the world and perceiving reality. This type of distraction is the most profound. When it happens, you move to automatic reactions without conscious meaning. Thanks to attention, your life can be noteworthy and filled with various purposes. However, if focus decreases, life becomes empty. Attention crises harm not only an individual but also society as a whole. People cannot notice problems that are gradually approaching and carry danger. It includes climate crisis and environmental pollution. People must first solve the attention crisis to deal with these global threats. Try this. 1. Arrange a reset week for yourself. Give up any gadgets and the internet. It will help you understand how technology steals your attention. 2. Take care of your sleep pattern. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day. Do not use any devices 2 hours before bedtime. 3. Go for regular phone-free walks to let your brain wander and form new neural connections.